Everything changed the moment this controversial title decision hit the MMA world, because what looked like just another championship fight result quickly turned into one of the most debated and emotionally charged moments of the year. Holly Holm has once again found herself at the center of massive controversy after a disputed title loss that left fans, analysts, and even fellow fighters completely divided. And what makes this situation even more explosive is the emotional reaction from Gina Carano, a pioneer of women's MMA, who reportedly became overwhelmed with emotion while responding to the aftermath of this shocking moment. And from here, the story stops being just about a fight and starts becoming something much deeper, something personal, something that exposes the emotional reality behind combat sports. The controversy erupted instantly after the judge's decision was announced. The arena reaction was confused silence mixed with disbelief. Commentators hesitated before committing to opinions, and replay footage only made things more complicated instead of providing clarity. Holly Holm, known throughout her career for her calm and disciplined presence, suddenly found herself in unfamiliar territory, a situation where frustration replaced control. And shortly after the fight, Holm released an emotional post-fight message that immediately spread across every platform in the MMA community. In that message, she expressed confusion over how the scoring was interpreted, questioning how key moments of control, timing, and damage were evaluated differently by the judges. But what made this message stand out wasn't just the content, it was the emotional weight behind it. Fans noticed a tone of disappointment that felt rare from someone as experienced and composed as Holm. And that emotional ripple effect is exactly what triggered the next wave of attention, because while social media exploded with debate, Gina Carano stepped forward with a reaction that no one expected to be this intense. Reports and circulating clips suggest that Gina didn't approach the situation like a typical commentator. Instead, she connected with it on a deeply human level. As she reflected on Holly Holm's emotional message, her response reportedly became heavy with emotion, at points struggling to maintain composure while discussing the mental pressure fighters carry after controversial decisions. She spoke about how fighters dedicate months of sacrifice, discipline, and pain, only for everything to be judged in a matter of seconds that may or may not reflect reality inside the cage. And that single perspective shift completely changed how fans viewed this controversy. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about scoring rounds or winning titles, it was about the emotional cost of the sport itself. Holly Holm's career has always been built on defining moments, from shocking the world with her victory over Ronda Rousey to standing against elite strikers in high-pressure fights. She has always been known for precision, discipline, and mental control. But this situation tested a different kind of strength, the ability to process disappointment on a global stage. And as her post-fight message continued circulating, fans began breaking down every second of the fight, debating whether the decision truly reflected the action or whether key moments were misjudged under pressure. The MMA community quickly split into two sides, one defending the decision, the other demanding answers. Meanwhile, Gina Carano's emotional reaction gained traction not because it was dramatic, but because it felt authentic. She spoke about the hidden emotional burden fighters carry after controversial outcomes, the silence after the crowd leaves, the replay loops in their minds, and the long-term impact on confidence and legacy. But the deeper this story went, the more a bigger question started forming in the background. Was this simply a controversial decision, or another example of a growing inconsistency in modern MMA judging that continues to frustrate fighters and fans alike? Question shifted the entire conversation from reaction to controversy analysis, and from there, attention moved away from just the result and toward the system itself. And now all eyes are locked on what comes next, because Holly Holm's public silence after her emotional message is becoming more noticeable with every passing moment. And in combat sports, silence often means something bigger is building underneath. Fans are waiting for clarification, analysts are preparing deeper breakdowns. And fighters across the sport are privately reacting to what could become one of the most debated title decisions in recent memory. But the biggest twist in this entire situation is still ahead, because what happens next could either calm the entire controversy or ignite it into something far bigger than anyone is expecting. The silence surrounding Holly Holm after her emotional post-fight message is now becoming louder than the controversy itself. Because in combat sports, when a fighter stops explaining, the world starts guessing even more aggressively, and that is exactly what is happening right now as this title loss continues to spread across every corner of the MMA community. Inside the industry, reactions are multiplying, analysts are rewatching every exchange from the fight, coaches are breaking down round-by-round interpretations, and fans are turning small moments into massive debates that refuse to settle. But the emotional core of this entire situation still comes back to Gina Carano, whose reaction added a completely different layer to the story, because this wasn't just analysis, it was empathy at its rawest form. According to circulating reactions and commentary, Gina's emotional response highlighted something most fans forget: that behind every controversial decision is a fighter who invested years of sacrifice, discipline, and mental endurance, only to have everything judged in a few unpredictable minutes. And as she reflected on Holly Holm's situation, she reportedly spoke about how fighters don't just lose matches, they carry those moments with them long after the arena lights fade. This perspective shifted the conversation once again, because now fans weren't just debating the decision, they were questioning the emotional toll of the entire system. Holm's legacy has always been built on iconic moments that shaped women's MMA history, from her shocking upset victory that stunned the world to her consistent presence among elite contenders. She has always been viewed as a fighter with composure under pressure, but this situation revealed a different kind of battle, one that cannot be trained for inside a gym. And that is the battle against perception, against judgment, and against controversy that spreads faster than any official explanation can catch up. As discussions continued online, more fighters began subtly reacting to the situation without directly naming it, posting cryptic messages about judging fairness, respect for fighters, and the emotional cost of close decisions, and that only intensified the spotlight on this controversy even further. Meanwhile, Holly Holm's silence is now being interpreted in multiple ways. Some believe she is preparing for a formal response. Others think she is stepping back to reset mentally after a draining emotional experience, and a growing number of fans believe her silence might be the strongest message of all. Because in a sport where everyone talks, silence can feel like a statement. Gina Carano's reaction continues to circulate because it represents something rare in modern fight discourse: genuine emotional vulnerability, not driven by promotion, not shaped for headlines, but rooted in lived experience and understanding of what fighters go through when outcomes don't reflect expectations. And that emotional authenticity is why this story refuses to fade away. But just when it seemed like the controversy might settle into standard debate territory, a new layer emerged: whispers of internal frustration within the wider MMA community regarding judging consistency and scoring transparency. This is where the story begins to shift from a single fight controversy into a broader industry conversation. Because fans are no longer just asking whether Holly Holm deserved the win, they are asking how many other fights have ended this way without clear resolution. And that question creates pressure that extends far beyond one athlete or one event. It puts the entire system under a microscope. And now attention turns toward what happens next in Holm's career trajectory. Whether she requests a rematch, whether she addresses the controversy publicly again, or whether she chooses to let her performances inside the cage speak louder than any external debate. But one thing is already clear: this moment has added a new chapter to her legacy, not defined by victory or defeat, but by controversy, emotion, and global reaction. And Gina Carano's emotional response has ensured that this story will not be forgotten quickly. Because it captured something that statistics and scorecards never can: the human side of fighting. As the MMA world continues to debate, analyze, and emotionally react, one final question remains unanswered. Will this controversial title loss be remembered as just another disputed decision, or will it become the turning point that forces real change in how fights are judged moving forward? And until that answer arrives, the entire combat sports world remains locked in discussion, watching closely, waiting for the next move that could change everything once again. Thanks for watching.